Morning, everyone. All the students of class plus 1B. But as you know, we are doing this chapter very, you can say, interesting chapter, as well as we are learning a lot about courage, about how one should keep on moving in life. One should not get scared of any situation. Fine. Yesterday we have understood each and every character in detail, along with you can say that picture of Wave Walker. Fine. Today I have just written the message, you can say, which we receive from this very chapter, and you can say the theme of this chapter. So kindly take notes. Firstly, note down these. Apart from these three themes, two themes rather, I must say. First one is not a theme, but first one is depicting what is there in this chapter. Fine. So firstly, I have written, as you can see on the board, adventures of a family on a voyage. Fine. We already know author, his wife Mary, kids John and Sue. They all are on a voyage, which they started from Plymouth, England. Fine, and they just want to relish the life by doing that sea voyage. And first year of their voyage was very good, and after that, two more characters joined, Larry and you can say an American and a Swiss native. Both of them joined them in the southern sea, you can say. So now the theme of this chapter. Courage can help you overcome any situation in life. Right? If you have courage, determination, motivate yourself, and you are brave enough to face any situation, and then nothing can stop you to achieve your goals. Fine. This is the very first theme. Secondly is united we stand, divided we fall. Yesterday also I discussed with you already. If we all are together, as the name of the chapter says, we are not afraid to die if we can all be together. So if we are together in the time of need, no problem can shake us. Fine. We will be able to survive. We will be able to go through it in each and every circumstance. Fine. So united we stand, divided we fall. Clear? So this is the theme of the chapter. So now we will be continuing better. Before starting, I would like to show you one picture of a sailboat where marking is done. Fine. Here you can see this. I'm not able to maximize it. You can see it. Fine. This is the mast. Fine. They have already done the labeling. To understand this chapter, you firstly need to see this picture. Then this is the main sail. Right? This is called boom, cockpit, stern, rudder, cabin. And this is bow. Fine. You can just have a look, casual look. We need not go into the technicality of the things, but at least you should know various parts, because these are the words which they have used again and again in this chapter. We are not afraid to die. Fine. So that's why I'm showing you this picture with labels. Is it okay? Shall we proceed now? Fine. This is just a rough idea. Clear? A lot of pictures I was searching, but finally ended up with this only. Very simple one. You can see. Fine. Now you can see the screen of chapter. Please, Peter. We will be reading clear. So let's continue. Open your books. You need to look at your books, Peter. And side by side, if you need to note down, you will be noting down the meanings of difficult words also. Fine, my voice is audible to everyone. As you have noted down the theme, now I would be explaining to you. Fine, we are on page number 14, beta. Now we have read so far, they have celebrated Christmas, though they were in difficult circumstances. Even then, they did not let it, fall upon their festivity, their enjoyment. After enjoying Christmas, when even New Year came, the things were not, changing. But suddenly there was a big change, but that change was not at all good change. That was a bad change. At dawn of January 2, the waves were gigantic. We have read this paragraph. So in gist of this paragraph, we can say that they just started practicing, more practicing that if such things happen, how they will be saving their life. They started donning their oil skins. Oil skins are beta waterproof clothing. Fine. They started attaching lifelines, then their life jackets, and they waited what is going to happen next, because they were like certain that they're going to die today, because the things were not at all favorable. Wind was not at all favorable. Clear? So the first indication from this paragraph onwards, this paragraph we have done yesterday only. So we will be reading this one. The first indication of impending disaster came at about 6 p.m. Underline beta, you should know the date, the time and all. First indication of impending disaster. It is a disaster because they're going to die according to them, because the situations are worse. With an ominous silence, the wind dropped and the sky immediately grew dark. Then came a growing roar and an enormous cloud towered aft of the ship. With horror, I realized that it was not a cloud, but a wave like no other I had ever seen. It appeared perfectly vertical and almost twice the height of the other waves, with a frightful breaking crest. So this was the disastrous wave, I must say, the huge, the gigantic wave. He thought firstly that it's a cloud. It was so, you can say, uh, uh, the height was so huge that he was not able to perceive whether it's a cloud or a wave. So suddenly he perceived that it is actually a wave. And with that ominous silence is deadly silence, that ill omen is going to happen. They say now that after this silence, something is going to happen in that way, something fishy is there. So that was deadly silence. And after that, actually that highest wave occurred and the disaster started. Yeah. And you can note down the meanings better side by side. Ominous is, you can say, inauspicious also, we say. Fine. Disaster, you know already. Aft, there is a one word in this paragraph, aft, aft. It means near the stern. Near the stern. Clear? Vertical, you know, fine. Then we have crest, top part of the waves. Clear? So mighty waves were there and tremendous explosion shook the deck where they were standing. It shook the deck like anything, and the narrator's head struck on the wheel. He flew over the side of the boat into the water. He was, sinking below the waves. He could feel that he's dying, but he accepted. He accepted that they are going to die at this time. Such, you can say, situation was there, right? So unexpectedly, the roar increased to a thunder as the stern moved up the face of wave, and for a moment I thought we might ride over it. But then a tremendous explosion shook the deck. A torrent of green and white water broke over the ship. My head smashed into the wheel, and I was aware of flying overboard and sinking below the waves. He felt that he's sinking, he's going to die. I accepted my approaching death, and I was losing consciousness. I felt quite peaceful. Why is feeling peaceful? Because he has accepted his death, that he's going to die, and there is death, there is peace. Fine. Some people believe that in death there is peace. So he thought, I'm going to die. But unexpectedly, my head popped out of water. A few meters away, Wave Walker was near capsizing. Her mask's almost horizontal. Her hair is used for wave walker, beta. Fine. Her is used for wave walker, that sailboat. Wave hurled her upright. My lifeline jerked taut. I grabbed the guardrails and sailed through the air into the wave walker's main boom. Subsequent waves tossed me around the deck like a rag doll. My left ribs cracked, my mouth filled with blood and broken teeth. Somehow I found the wheel, lined up the stern for the next wave, and hung on. The moment he decided in his mind that he accepted his death, but that very moment something unexpected happened, that his head popped out of water, appeared out of water. So a few meters away, Wave Walker was about to turn in water, upside down. You can very well imagine what is the situation of that family. And then suddenly one more wave came and it threw that from upside to again the same position. So succeeding waves threw the narrator around the deck like a rag doll. He was like, thrown away from one place to another with that huge force of the waves, just like a rag doll. Rag is like torn clothes. So just like a doll, he was, falling at one place or the other with the force of the wave. And his left ribs cracked. He could hear the sound. His ribs were cracked and his mouth was filled with blood and broken teeth, you can see. He somehow found the wheel, and anyhow, he just even then did not leave hope. He found the wheel anyhow, and there was water everywhere on the ship. He could not leave his place because he has to. He was the captain, you can say, of the ship, and being the captain, you have to lead. Fine, it's not about the family only; it's the responsibility of two more members also. Fine. So suddenly his wife, Mary, she would be joining him and she opened the door in the deck and shouted that they were sinking because decks were broken now. Fine. Narrator asked her to take the wheel, then he moved quickly to the door. Now see, simultaneously they were requiring so many things. A steering of the wheel was required, which earlier he was doing, but now he called his wife to take care of the wheel because he has to manage other things. Water started accumulating in the boat. He has to manage to how to get rid of this situation. Fine. So he then what he did, he asked his wife, he asked for help, and Larry and Herb, they were also performing their level best. Fine. They are the ones who, one American, one from Switzerland. Both of them, Larry and Herb, they started pumping out the water because if water is accumulating in the boat is definitely going to sink. Fine. So they started pumping the water out. The wooden beams had broken. The whole starboard side had burst inwards. Clothes, crockery, charts, tins, toys. You know that because they were on a journey for 3 years, estimated 3 years. So they were having toys, everything, whatever we have at home. So everything could be seen, floating here and there, in broken pieces. Toys were there, crockery, clothes, and everything was just moving around noisily in water. He crawled into his children's cabin, and when author got his left ribs broken and mouth filled with water with broken teeth, at that time his daughter Sue, she also got a big bump on her head. Fine. Okay, beta, no problem. If some network problem is coming, you can rejoin. Sometimes it happens, beta. If a problem comes, you can rejoin. Fine. So narrator just wanted to check on his children also. He was worried about his daughter and son. He went inside and he saw that his daughter Sue was having a big bump over her head, as you have seen in the video which I showed you last day only. Fine. So her head got smashed into the ship, in the boat, and she got a big bump on her head. And see, father, otherwise a child is having a wound or you can say he's injured, parents are the first person to attend them. But he was not having time. He thought that I can attend my daughter's bump later on. Firstly, I have to rescue I have to save the life of the people first. This can be attended later on. So she was left unattended, you can see. Let's continue. Then beta, uh, water everywhere. I could feel the ship had water below, but I dared not abandon the wheel to investigate. Fine. Then we have read so far. After finding a hammer, now he was there inside to check on his children, as well as he needed hammers, screws, some parts were required. Let me just move the page also. Sometimes we are busy in this. Next page. From here onwards. Right. After finding a hammer, screws and canvas, I struggled back on deck with the starboard side bashed open. We were taking water with each wave that broke over us. If I couldn't make some repairs, we would surely sink. So this is the time to make repairs. Fine. So he tried his level best, as you know that he had improved. He has honed his seafaring skills for long 16 years before starting his voyage. So he knew everything, how to make amendments, how to, do the repairing of the boat, where are the things, which are the things required for the repair, you can say. So he found hammer and screws and canvas, and he started repairing the broken over parts. If I could not make some repairs, they are going to sink. Somehow I managed to stretch canvas and secure waterproof hatch covers across the gaping holes. So there were many holes now. They started covering those holes so that water stopped coming inside. Some water continued to steam below, but most of it was now being deflected over the side. More problems arose whenever hand pumps started to block up with the debris floating around the cabins and the electric pump short circuited. Now you know that with those movement of upside down and rolling here and there was a lot of destruction where electric pumps were not working. Pumps are used to take water, and they were throwing the water outside so that they can stop their boat to sink. But electric pumps stopped working. Underline this better. You have a question based on this regarding in regard to the pumps. So his electric pump stopped working, and debris are the unwanted garbage or the things which were broken and lying here and there. They started going inside the pumps, and the pumps stopped working. So the problem was that no pump was working now. So back on deck, I found that our two spare hand pumps had been drenched overboard, along with the forestay sail, the jib, the dinghies, and the main anchor. So many parts which were required to repair, they were not at all now there so that he can use it. Everything was getting destructed. Then I remembered, then suddenly he was so happy. The good thing happened. He remembered that they had another electric pump. One should always have one other option. When you're going somewhere, you should keep extra things with you, that in case of emergency, you can need them. So he was just happy to remember that they were having another electric pump under the chart room floor, which was safe, which was not broken in any case. Fine. So he connected it to an outpipe and was thankful to find that it was working. He was so happy that one electric pump was working. The night dragged on with an endless, bitterly cold routine of pumping. The whole night, Larry and the other men and he himself, they were just pumping like madmen to just throw the water out of their sailboat. And the night dragged on with an endless, bitterly cold routine, then steering and working the radio and pumping, continuously steering the wheel, pumping the water, and checking on the radio. We were getting no replies to our mayday calls. What are the mayday calls? We have read yesterday only. Which mayday calls are the emergency calls, like if a plane is there, or if you can going on a sea voyage, find a water voyage or air voyage, you can say going by aeroplane, or some emergency is there, then they have set up a radio system, compass is there. Mayday calls are those emergency calls which are made in case of emergency that you need a help. So which was not surprising in this remote corner of the world. They were not getting reply because they were disconnected from outside world. Sue's head had swollen alarmingly. She had two enormous black eyes, and now she showed us a deep cut on her arm. When I asked why she had not made more of her injuries before this, she replied, I didn't want to worry you when you were trying to save us all. So father thought, why did you tell us that you are having such serious injury, Sue? Sue said, you already, my parents are already suffering a lot. They're already just trying to save our lives. I've never wanted to bother you. That's why I did not tell that I have a cut on my arm and I have bump on my head and her eyes got swollen and her situation was very serious now. Fine. Now we are on next part of the chapter. From here onwards, by morning on January 3rd, the pumps had water levels sufficiently under control for us to take 2 hours rest in the water line. And on checking, I found that nearly all the boat's main rib frames were smashed down to heel. Many things were smashed, and how he's going to survive, he doesn't know. How they're going to manage without many parts, he doesn't know. We are on page number 16, beta. Page number 16. Then now, she was not strong enough to wave walker was surviving anyhow, but it was not that strong in that sturdy position, I must say, that it could take them along to Australia. He checked the charts. He calculated that there were two small islands a few hundred kilometers to the east. He hoped to reach Isle Amsterdam, a French scientific base. So I'm talking about with a 3rd January. On 2nd January, the situation was worst. Remember the dates. Fine. On 2nd January, everything happened. That gigantic wave came and how they were, tossed like rag dolls here and there, how they got bumps, how Sue got bumps, how his father was drowned and how he came out of water, how their, you can say, crew members helped them, how wife was steering the wheel. Everything happened on 2nd January. Fine. So now on the morning of 3rd January, what is the scene? They just, made amendments. They were repairing, but Way Walker was not sturdy and strong enough to take them to Australia. They wanted to reach to Australia now. So he checked the charts. He calculated that there were two small islands. So they started finding what can be the alternative. They have to change their plan. So they found that there were nearby, there were two islands. Islands are the places where there is, I guess, sometimes there is no population. Fine, but you have the natural surroundings so that you can survive for a few days. So there were two islands. Sometimes with small populations also islands are there. So a few hundred kilometers to the east, and they decided that they will be going to Isle Amsterdam, which was nearby, rather than they won't be able to reach to Australia. So a French scientific base is there, Isle Amsterdam, on January 4th. So on 3rd Jan, they decided, fine. Now come to 4th Jan. Pinpricks of the vast ocean. Pinpricks, beta, you can say the small islands are like pinpricks in front of the whole ocean. The small place, the pinprick, fine. So on 4th January, after 36 hours of continuous pumping, underline 36 hours of continuous journey, we reached the last few centimeters of water. Now we had only to keep pace with the water still coming in. We could not set any sail on the main mast. Pressure on the rigging would simply pull the damaged section of hull apart. So we hoisted the storm jib and headed for where I thought the two islands were. Mary found some corned beef and cracker biscuits, and we ate our first meal in almost 2 days. So they were very hungry. They had not eaten for the last, you can say, 2 days, because their continuous efforts were to save their lives rather than eating food. They were not able to find anything also. Everything was here and there. So his wife was able to, find some beef and some kind of food. They started eating, and for 36 hours they continued pumping. Clear? And after that, their relief was short lived. They were they were having relief that now situation was getting better as compared to 2nd January. But that even that relief was short-lived. Why it was short-lived? You can read on in the next paragraph. At 4 p.m., you can say black clouds began building up. Within an hour, the wind was back to 40 knots. I told you knots is a measurement of wind. You can say measuring unit of the wind. So the seas were getting higher throughout the night. The weather became worse. So early morning, dawn of January 5th now. Better remember the dates. Their situation was extremely dangerous. The narrator went in to comfort the children. So he thought that we're not going to survive. He was lurking between two situations, whether I'm going to survive or not. So the narrator went in to comfort the children, and John asked if they were going to die. His son, Jonathan, 6-year-old boy, he talked to his father that, Father, whether we are going to die now. And then narrator tried to assure him that no, we are going to make it, we're going to go through it. And then John said, we are not afraid of dying if we can all be together. Underline this sentence, the chapter's name. These words are actually uttered by author's son in this chapter. Clear? Who uttered these words? If we are not afraid to die, if we can all be together. These words are uttered by John, 6-year-old boy. His full name is Jonathan. Fine. So he was trying to give hope to his father. You can see a young boy of just 6-year-old giving hope to his father that yes, father, we should not be afraid of any situation. If we are together, we can make it. We can go through it. So you can very well see that the hope is provided by the son. Clear? So rest part we will be continuing tomorrow, beta. Clear? And we are not left with much time, so that's why. Yes, Japan, if you are able to hear my voice now. Clear, beta? So we are not left with time. I won't be able to continue. We will be continuing, only one page is left, that we will continue tomorrow.